Part two. Yeah, round two. Fight. Yeah. So I had blue screen of deadly death. So yeah, my entire screen went black, but I still had my mouse cursor. Well, both screens went black, and I still had my mouse cursor. And I was like, "That's weird. What's going on?" And then just suddenly, blue screen. Restarted the computer. Hopefully, nobody's still sitting over in the first one because the first one still says it's live. How am I live twice? I'm double live. That was a Garth Brooks album. Yeah. All the fun of a budget makerspace. Yeah, I've got so much filament now. I need to start printing like crazy. I may do that today. I may get the Tornado fired up, maybe even the A8. I might even fire up the A8. I haven't done that in a while, long while. Because well, I don't fire up the A8 unless I'm here to watch it. Although fire up is a unfortunate choice of words to use involving the A8, isn't it? Roasting marshmallows. Oh, Marlin on the A8. I still wouldn't trust it. Yeah, wait till it fires up on me. Right, Brian? Right? Oh, dude, I tell you, I don't know. This dark and cloudy day in Clarksville. It's a very dark cloud hanging over us right now. It's not raining right now, but it looks like it should be. Well, and um, my power supply is no longer the stock power supply for the A8. Um, the power supply I've got now it cools itself much better. Um, because the power supply burned up. The original power supply burned up shortly after I got it, and so I put a new one on it. But the new one, I haven't printed any sort. I need to design and print a bracket for it because the holes on the new one don't line up with the original. So right now it's only got one bolt holding it in. I did not. I did not, but I did get one that has a better cooling system on it. It's got a bigger and more powerful internal fan, and it kicks on immediately. So the power supply definitely keeps itself cooler than the original. Is my sound okay? Because my microphone, instead of a green light, is blinking a red light. I mean, you guys are responding to the things I'm saying, so I'm assuming it's working. But I have a flashing red light on my microphone instead of a green light after the restart. really deep? Like, are we going Barry White? Well, okay, so I'm going to be silent for a minute because I'm going to unplug the microphone and plug it back in. All right. So, is that better? We now have a solid green light again. Much better. Okay. Yeah. Maybe the blue screen of death jacked with my microphone. Higher and perkier. That's the dance I'll do when I get the palette working. Oh, when I do get it working though, it's going to lead to so many cool things. The stars and stripes version of the Rep Ranger is just the first thing I have in mind. Yeah, the A8 is the only direct drive machine I have, and its print quality just isn't very good. I mean, it's okay, but like the layer lines don't stack up great, and I think it just has to do with the rigidity or lack thereof of its frame. So I know what you're going to say next, John. Is AM8 upgrade. Which I thought about doing, but at this point, I'm like, you know what? Instead of spending money on upgrading the A8, I would rather just set aside the money, get myself a Prusa, and then sell the A8 on Craigslist. Return it back to the world from whence it came. I do have loads of filament now. I could do that. maybe I should print it in extraordinary epic rainbow. I wish my camera could show exactly how cool that is. That too much glare. Eh. But extraordinary epic rainbow is really cool. Yeah, I only paid $70 for my A8. Yeah, I mean, I have made some prints with it. I mean, it was worth every penny of $70. Well, I guess I got 20 more in it now since I replaced the power supply. But yeah, I'm at the point where I think I just want to save my money. The next printer I buy a Prusa, and then sell the A8
and I wouldn't sell it like to somebody that I'd have to ship it to because I don't want to disassemble the thing, and it certainly wouldn't, with all of its acrylic parts, wouldn't survive shipping. So I'll just put it up on Craigslist and sell it locally. Betting if I put it up for if I made some prints with it and showed the print quality or whatnot, which like I said, it's not great, but it's decent. Um, I could probably get $100 out of it, and then I would actually be $10 ahead because I paid 70 and then uh, $20 for a power supply, and then I got the frame uh, strengthening pieces from Walter from his old A8, which the frame rigidity stuff did help. Yeah, again, I'm going to keep it until I get something else. But when I get something else, I'm going to send it on down the road, I think. Because I just don't trust it well enough. Is my biggest issue with it, and I'm sure it would most likely do fine. It would most likely not cause any problems, but it's just my lack of trust in it. So, I don't know. I'll debate it. It's one of those things where do I strip it down for parts or do I sell it? Not entirely sure. Would it be worth more to me to just strip it down and keep all the motors and stuff to have as spares? Because I have ended up cannibalizing a few things off of the Ender 2 that the board burned up on. So now when I go to rebuild the Ender 2, if I ever get around to it, not only do I got to buy a board, I've got to buy some parts that I've cannibalized off of it to keep. I've taken parts from it for both of these machines. Yeah, and so it may be worth just stripping it down and keeping the motors and stuff like that. And that way, if I have a motor go out on a printer, I would have spares. Junk all the acrylic and keep everything else. Little notification that says Hangouts on Air is going away later this year. So I wonder what they're going to replace it with. You got to replace it with something. Oh, that's Joey holding the curtain open back there. Why you got to hold the curtain open? Hmm? Give me that look. Hey, Robbie. Yeah, I don't normally do Hangouts, and now I see why. Because no one's going to join them anyway. No point in doing Hangouts if nobody's going to join. Oh, so yeah, I'll continue wrestling with the palette today. I gotta print the extruder clip thing that they told me to print. So I'll do that today. I'll print that, and then I need to hook up. I need to hook up the CR10 to Repetier host and make sure the extruder is calibrated because they told me to do that as well to calibrate my extruder. So I'll make sure the extruder is calibrated correctly. Not, I'll make the adjustments necessary, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, I get it. I know. I, and I just can't do stuff in the evenings because, well, when the wife is home, there's no more of this stuff. We missed you, Brian. We missed you very much. So yeah, those are the things I've got on the agenda for today: is to print that extruder clip and calibrate the extruder. That way, when I get the next email from Mosaic, because that's what they told me to do in the first email, and then I also need to do a factory reset on the palette and try to recalibrate it from there. So those are the next steps to try and getting the palette working. So this will be round 6 after I do these things. Is that the mini greenhouse that Chris put up? Chris Riley posted last night. Sorry. I didn't get to bed till like 4 in the morning, which is why I didn't start doing this at 8 o'clock. I started at 9 because 4 hours of sleep wasn't enough. 5 was okay. I could deal with 5. Oh, cool. Yeah, Chris Riley posted his completed one on Twitter last night, and he said now for something to put in it, and I suggested a Venus flytrap because I believe, wasn't he referencing a fly that was bugging him in his FT6 stream? It was either in the FT6 or the Fun in the Country basement stream, one of the two. There was a fly bugging him, so I suggested a Venus flytrap. Yeah, I saw that. And then somebody posted a picture of the square watermelons. Okay, I knew it was one of his streams from last Sunday. I just didn't remember which one. That there was a fly bothering him. I'm like, see, if he had a Venus flytrap. Oh, that was you with the square watermelons. Okay, I I didn't have the tweet in front of me. I couldn't remember who did what. But that's a real deal. They're growing watermelons in enclosures so that it's for shipping purposes. I have shorts on. Is that okay? Shorts count? They're my comfy shorts that I sleep in. Yeah, they're like comfy and they're silky and Oh, how are you doing today, James? You are more powerful, James. Did you have a big subscriber boost from Joel doing your arcade review from Murph? They call him Flipper. That's not bad. I mean, that's about half of what my total subscriber count is. I don't know how many I have, but it's 180 something, I guess. I don't know. I don't keep track because I really, I mean, I care, but I don't. I'm not trying to get monetized. I'm not trying to make a living off YouTube. Ooh, I have 191. See, that's more than I realized. I was in the 180s forever. I was in the 180s forever. Like I said, channel growth is something that I'll let happen organically. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it's fine. You know, the YouTube channel may not be growing, but I do think my position within the community is getting better. Um, and I think doing that commission work for Repcord helped a lot. I just need to get some more people printing these little puppies. Only one person has bought it on Gumroad. Only one person. And that sale came from someone on because Gumroad does analytics on the sales where the links came from and how many of them are sales. So it's had 28 views and one sale, and that sale came from a Gumroad direct suggestion. So, I mean, it's a cool little Jeep. It's got guns and a missile launcher that's removable, and you can put the where's my where's my turret gun? The big thing is if I lost it, I can just print another one. But I told you my makerspace is such a mess right now. It's a crazy mess. I can't find my turret gun. Oh, there it is. Found it. So I need to my file that a little bit. There is. I can't find anything right now. Because I got a little cleanup to do on that peg. See if that doesn't make it fit better. There we go. That fits better. Okay. So yeah, you peg in the weapons. It's got a rotating turret. So if they're coming up from behind, it turns around. Soon, when I print it, we'll have a trailer to tow behind it the jet ski. So I'm really happy with how this thing came out. I mean, it there's several things I learned along the way that have been an absolute game changer for me moving forward. And now I want to go back and retrofit some of my other designs to use some of the things I learned. Yeah, the peg mounted weapon system is great because you peg the weapons in. Makes for a lot of fun. Yeah, and the future plans, I will design even more weapons and stuff for it. Like I'm working on, when I get around to it, a weapons kit for this, and because they have the two peg holes just like that, just like they're lined up the same as the two peg holes here and on the hood. So the weapons will be interchangeable. So if you, when I put the jet ski up on Gumroad and stuff, people download and print the jet ski, and the weapons that come with the jet ski, they'll be able to use the jet ski's weapons on the Jeep and the Jeep's weapons on the jet ski. It's an all interchangeable system. And so if I figured if I just make a base set of weapons that goes with each vehicle, and then as people print more vehicles, they'll have more weapons to interchange with stuff. And then I'll come up with some weapons packs as well that are just weapons packs. Sidecar for the jet ski. I could make it peg into the hex. And for those of you that saw it on Twitter, the jet ski floats like it should, not on its side like a benchy. And I was so anticipating what was going to happen, because I was like, when I put up that poll, I'm like, I'll let everybody else vote on this before I try it. I was like, I really want us to put it in the sink right now and try it, but I'm going to let everyone vote on it. So I put up a poll, and 75% of the people that voted said it would roll over on its side, and it did not. It voted. 25% of people were with me, though. 25% of people said it would float like it's supposed to. All right, Brian. Thanks for hanging out with us today, man. Have a good day at work. So yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that I want to design. Between weapons packs, accessories, and additional vehicles and things like that are all going to use the same snap connectors. They're going to use the same hex weapon system, and so the weapons will be interchangeable. The majority of the model will be snapped together. Like the jet ski is entirely snapped together. There is no glue required in this whatsoever. You print 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. That's it. So you print the bottom, you print the top, you print the seat, and you print the handlebars. Robbie, the as big a fan as you are of Godzilla, have you bought the Chaos Cortec Godzilla yet? My only issue with it is still this: I don't care for people modeling and profiting from other people's intellectual property. I'm not trying to be the wet blanket here, but Godzilla belongs to a company already. That design, he may have put the work in to design it, to design the 3D printable model and all that, but the intellectual property rights still belong to a company. Like there are similarities between stuff that exists and the stuff that I make, but that exact model or design does not exist anywhere. And you can't, have the rights to, well, it's a military Jeep, so you can't use it because somebody else already has a military Jeep. Otherwise, there wouldn't be multiple companies making military Jeeps. So, I mean, that's the only issue I end up taking a little bit of exception with some of these guys that are doing, the Marvel and DC superheroes and things like that. I'm like, that's their somebody else's intellectual property. Well, but like the logos and stuff, the logos are an exact enough. I mean, things have to, by copyright law, things have to differ by at least, I think it's 33% different. Well, someone printing a Superman bust, they're using Superman's logo and they're not differing it by 33%. Now, like Superman's face may be 33% different than any comic representation or actor that's played him, things like that. But I don't know. I don't know what all of the rules are on it, but mainly, because I get requests all the time to design specific things. Like people will reach out to me and say, um, "Could you 3D model my car?" Well, I could, but the manufacturer of your car owns the rights to that design. So I would be opening myself up to potential legal litigation down the road. And even if I didn't do it for money, nowadays social media has value. So they would place a value on your followers and likes and subscribers and things like that and say, okay, well, you profited from this nonetheless. You may not have profited with cash, but you profited in followers and you profited in social media impact. Therefore, you profited from our intellectual property. And so then they could do things like shut down your YouTube channel or any number of things. So that's that's the kind of things that worry me about making anything exact. Like this jet ski, I used the dimensions off of an actual jet ski so that I could get the 1/18th scale dimensions right. But design wise, it's generic as they come. There's no, identifiable um, markings on it at all. No logos, no anything like that. Well, that's like the guy that made that very popular 3D printable Millennium Falcon. He ended up in a little bit of hot water over that, and even changed the name of it to Millennium Falcon because you couldn't call it the Millennium Falcon because that name is owned by Lucasfilms. So I don't know, just things that I try to be mindful of when doing this stuff. It's not that I have a personal exception. I don't. Do whatever you want to do. I'm not trying to be, copyright police here or anything. But just know that there could at some point in time come consequences from directly using somebody else's intellectual property. Now, most companies aren't going to care. Most companies are going to look at it as you're actually promoting their product in the process and helping them out. But there are some companies that are real sticklers about that kind of stuff. Good morning, Joe. Like Disney is known to be hardcore about their copyright protection and infringement. Right. Yeah. I would hate to, I would hate to build a following and subscribers and all this kind of stuff, and then end up facing legal action from, say, Hasbro because I directly modeled one of their vehicles. Like I could sit down and 3D model, for instance, the GI Joe Vamp, and if I directly modeled the GI Joe Vamp to be 3D printable, I could do it totally and put it out there. People start downloading it, printing it. I start getting subscribers and followers and all this because the GI Joe market loves the fact that they could 3D print their own exact replica of the Vamp. Well, Hasbro finds out about it. Hasbro goes, "No, we own that model. We own that likeness. You can't call it a Vamp. It can't look like a Vamp." And exactly. So instead, I like to I do stuff that um, fulfills the same role, fulfills the same usage, but is my own design. Right. No. And again, they probably wouldn't take exception to that because that's not what you're profiting from. Um, it's a hidden Easter egg kind of thing. It's not. You're not making the profit because you put a Godzilla in there, so they probably wouldn't take exception to that. Right. They probably wouldn't take exception to that because again, it'd be one thing if you were like 70s style van, you were printing and selling wraps for people to put their own giant Godzilla with the Godzilla name and a picture of Godzilla across the side. Then you're profiting directly from their intellectual property. Um, but you were being paid for something else and you hid a tiny little Godzilla in there somewhere. That was never the intention, you know. You're right. Yeah. Let me find images. Let me share my screen here. Oh, okay. So here's the GI Joe vamp. The Rep Ranger fulfills the same role as the GI Joe vamp, but where the similarities it has is it's a two-seater Jeep with a turret-mounted rear weapon, but that's it. You know, that's where the similarities really end because I have interchangeable weapons. I have weapons that can be mounted in other locations. The design obviously doesn't look exactly like a vamp, but it fulfills the same role. Stop screen share. Da, da, da. Yeah, I forget its exact. What the exact nomenclature I gave it on Gumroad is. Yeah, 1/18 scale toy Jeep Rep Ranger. Yeah, so it's generic. The Rep Ranger name that was coined by Pooch at Repcord, but he commissioned this model and he gave me permission to sell it. So he commissioned, but he felt like the amount that he commissioned me for was not commensurate with the overall value of the model. So he said, "You can, um, you know, sell this to monetize the design." So we worked out specifics on it and the rep chopper, and you know what he was going to value from his end at, and that I could turn around and sell them to further monetize them. And um, which James, was that you that made I got the second sale today from? Dude, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with on color scheme and everything else. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I guess Jeep is technically a company name, but it's also a generic term for the vehicle. So I don't know. Maybe the type of vehicle. Edit the title and take the word Jeep out of it. Later, Robbie. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what you do as far as color scheme and stuff, and to get to know somebody that's printing it, to get some feedback on how the assembly process goes for you, um, because it's minimal gluing. Um, there's only a drop of glue on the steering wheel and a couple drops on the roof. Everything else is snapped together. Um, just got to be careful when you're putting the wheels on that you don't break the axles. Depending upon the tolerances of your printer, you may have to put a drop of glue in it, inside the tire as you slide it over the wheel. Possibly. It'll depend on the tolerances of your printer. Mine were actually mine, but I don't know if it's a tolerances issue on my printer or what, but they were actually so tight that I had to put the tires in hot water and the wheels in cold water, and then use a hammer to tap them together. So they're press fit tight. They will never come apart again. Your house will crumble and fall down around you before these come apart. Yeah, I soaked the wheels in ice water and soaked the tires in scalding hot water for a couple minutes, and then uh, even then still had to use a hammer to tap them together a little bit. But they will never come apart. They do spin very well. But like I said, be careful when you put the wheels on the axles, because that's probably the most fragile part of the assembly. Once you get them together, you're fine. They're not fragile. But in the process of putting them together, because it is a tight fit, um, how I recommend doing it is, um, first I actually took and made sure to remove any elephant's foot from the bottom of the inner diameter of the wheel with a um, deburring tool. And then I line them up real good, and then just slowly rotate and press gently while you rotate until you get it all the way on. My computer died on the first half of the stream. Blue screen of death. So this is part 2 after the recovery from the blue screen of death. But yeah, the tolerances are really nice on the axle where the wheel is concerned. Once you get it pressed on, it spins really nicely. Even on the lifted version, they spin for a good long time. So it rolls really well. So yeah, there's only so many things you can do as far as, you know, trying to avoid copying somebody else's work and things like that. I mean, you don't want to copy anything exact. At least that's my opinion, my thought on it. Because, like I said, I would hate to, have something like, say, the Rep Ranger takes off and a lot of people start printing it and purchasing it. I want to make sure that it's not an exact replica of like the GI Joe vamp, because I wouldn't want Hasbro to say, "This is our vamp." We own this. Although the GI Joe vamp is just a Lamborghini Cheetah that they put some little bits and greebles on to make it look slightly different. Lamborghini made a military Jeep back in the 60s or 70s called the Cheetah. And the Vamp is so a direct um, copy of the Lamborghini Cheetah. The only thing is they shortened it to a two door configuration when the 2-seat configuration when the Cheetah was a 4-seat. Find it there. There we go. Share my screen for a sec. Anyway, that's the Lamborghini Cheetah. There is the Lamborghini Cheetah. And the G.I. Joe Vamp is obviously just a 2-seat version of that they did some stuff in the back to put a weapon and stuff on it. But otherwise, I mean, it's straight up. It's a Lamborghini Cheetah. Right. Well, because at this stage of the game, there is nothing truly completely new. Not really. Everything has inspiration drawn from something. Like if I sat down to design a pickup truck, I wouldn't design specifically the, Chevy or GMC or Ford or Dodge or Toyota or Nissan, whoever else makes a pickup. But if I design a pickup truck, when I'm done, it's gonna look like a pickup truck. There's no there, there's only so much you can do. It's still got to be a pickup truck. It's gonna have a bed and it's gonna have a cab and 4 wheels. That would be cool, Joe, but I'm not ready to give up music. And Hasbro hasn't exactly been cranking out GI Joe toys. The last new GI Joe stuff we got was um, the 50th anniversary stuff. Which what year was that? It's been a while. GI Joe 50th anniversary stuff. What year was that? Go to the database. (2017) was the last. No, that wasn't the 50th anniversary. That was a convention exclusive. So 2016? Again, that was all convention exclusives. How about 2015? Has it been that long? It has. 2015. 2015, they released some Toys R Us exclusive toys. And that was the last G.I. Joes that Hasbro gave us. So it's been 4 years since there have been G.I. Joes on the toy shelves. And that was part of my inspiration into 3D printing was Hasbro hadn't been giving us any new toys. So I thought somebody needs to be giving us some new toys. Why not me? I've always wanted to make my own toys, always wanted to design my own stuff. So that's what I set out to do was fill that void. Now 2020, things may be different. In 2020, um, the Snake Eyes movie comes out, which I'm sure will have toys associated with it. But it's not till I think it's the end of 2020. So time we actually see toys on store shelves, it'll be Christmas of 2020. So in the meantime, companies have shown up giving GI Joe enthusiasts and collectors toys in that scale, and doing well, even at their higher price points. There's a company called Marauder Task Force that makes GI Joe scaled figures, and they sell for like 15, $20 a piece. And so people who like to customize GI Joes and things like that are buying them for their fodder to take apart and make their custom Joes. Um, and there really hasn't been much in the way of the 1/18 scale vehicle market, aside from companies like Lannard, who makes the core, which you can find them at Walmart. They're a budget line of 1/18 scale figures and vehicles, and you know they're okay. And then Chap May, which is a Chinese company that makes another budget line of 1/18 scale figures and vehicles. And I don't know, it wouldn't even know where to buy those now, because the only place I knew to buy them was Toys R Us, and Toys R Us went out of business in the United States. If James is still on, they still got Toys R Us up in Canada, but in the U.S., no more Toys R Us. I don't know if Chap May has taken to. I haven't even looked to see if Chap May has taken to like Amazon and stuff now. And they had some cool stuff, some big play sets and stuff like that. They had like a big C-130 plane that was enormous. Um, and I haven't designed anything on quite that scale yet, or not that I've printed anyway. I've got that the hauler, which is going to be huge when I get around to finishing it. But play sets and vehicles and things like that have been very, very limited, and I'm not sure yet. These snap connectors may even lead me into um, buildings. Snap connectors have been a game